What is up, YouTube? I am Taylor. Welcome back to my channel. It is July 21st of 2021, so 7/21/21. When I'm recording this is my weekly comic book review show where I review these comics. Well, not these comics every week, but this is this week's comics. The new ones that came out this week that I bought with my hard-earned, quickly disappearing money, and yeah, I talk about them. I'll let you know what I thought about them. Some good, some okay. Nothing horrible this week, really. But I start with the worst, and I ramp my way up because I want the video to end on a high note. People, I want it to end positively, like the ray of sunshine that I am. So I start with the polished turds. And again, not really. This week we're starting off the fine level. There's nothing horrible this week. And like on other given weeks, these books might have ranked higher, maybe, possibly. And I'm doing some shuffling while I'm doing it because like I don't pre-plan what I'm going to say about a lot of these books. I just kind of give my general impressions as I go. I wing it, folks. This is all off the cuff, unscripted. In case you couldn't tell. Anyways, let's get started. Yeah, this is probably the least favorite book of the week. Gamma Flight number 2. I really enjoyed the first one. It had touched on a bit of Alpha Flight vibes and some nostalgia for me, and this one's not bad. It's all like mostly a fight with Doc Samson monologuing and having internal doubts and stuff. It's just not that interesting to me. I don't know. Like I think I'm sick of a lot of like Marvel books, a lot of them, and this one. If I were to get invested, I mean, it's a miniseries. I could keep going, I guess. The art's solid. the art's solid, and even the character, the team buildup it has the potential to be interesting. And they're fighting some weird version of Starr or whatever, Hulk's kid with the weird fingers growing out of his head, and probably from the pages of Immortal Hulk, which I haven't read. And I don't know. I just don't care. Like the first issue grabbed me. The second one, no. So I think I'm done. Silver City number 3. This series started off really strong and really interesting, and the first issue is, I think, really great. Second issue is decent. This one keeps ratcheting down, which is not a good sign. I wanted to like this more than I do. I kind of took me a while to remember what the hell's going on. It's a City of the Dead, sort of a purgatory kind of thing, and I don't know. I still don't quite get it. Now there's superpowers of dead people, and I don't know. It's fine. Like I said, we're in the fine section of things. I don't have the energy to keep up with this one. Like I maybe I'll read it on trade when it's all said and done, but I kind of doubt it. It's fizzled enough for me that like it took a really interesting idea and kind of hasn't gone in a not that I want stories to go in a direction that I think they should go. I like being surprised by stories. That's part of the reason you read stories. So you're surprised. If you're never surprised, there's no reason to read a story. But this one's not doing it for me. I don't know. Silver City number 3. I think I'm done with it. Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. Thor Annual, I don't know, 1, I guess. Who knows? I keep rebooting. Aaron Cooter did most of the heavy lifting on this one. It's an okay parable of alternate Thoralities, Realithors, whatever, I guess. It's very wordy and very expositionally, and the thing that really bugged me about it was the lettering. The type is not great. It's weirdly set. I mean, you can tell it's all a computer, which is fine. I mean, I don't have anything against people using the computer to set typefaces, but you have to do it properly. I put it on my Instagram story. If you happen to catch it, you won't. It'll probably be gone by the time you read this video, but that's okay. Clint Barton's in this, right? And briefly. And if you type the word out Clint, all capital letters, and you squish it together, you can do this on your own time, you can see what word it looks like. Hint, it's not Clint. Also, I'm not going to say it on my channel because at some point I want to get it monetized. I don't know, the art's solid. The art on this book is really pretty great. Heavily detailed. In the beginning it's great, and then it kind of like gets less and less detailed as you go on. And I get what he was trying to do in the middle with some of the alternate reality stuff. That kind of art is weak. The beginning art's fantastic. Very wordy, and I don't know. It's sort of trying to be Midsummer Night's Dreamy, but it doesn't have the chops for it. And I don't know, probably a first appearance or two, and a second appearance, and a last appearance, and who knows? It'll probably end up in Loki season 12 or some shit. So yeah, but it's fine. All right, Time Before Time number 3. This is another series that started very strong and I really liked, and it's just kind of fizzling for me. I don't know if this is ongoing. I'm guessing not. I'm guessing it's a mini. I just didn't do any what the kids call research. Art's still solid. Art's still simple and pretty easy to follow, and like the storytelling that way is fine. Just the story's boring me. Which if you're on the run from, you're time traveling through time and running from time mafias and joining up with time mafias, you shouldn't still, with that kind of cool sounding concept, manage to bore me. But this managed to bore me, and it just seems like a filler issue. And I hate filler issues. I mean, if they serve a purpose, fine, but otherwise, tighten it all up. To say what you want to say in a half a story or a half an issue, get onto like the cool stuff. You can have lulls and you can have story beats and paces, but when the whole thing is just kind of a blah issue, I'm kind of done. Again, and on other weeks, and I might have kept up with it, and I might have, but I'm trying to not spend as much damn money, one thing, and cut down my reading to really just the truly good comics, and well, that's I don't think it's making the cut anymore. Sorry. All right. Dark Blood number 1. This is the cover swipe. I mean, it's a cool cover, right? But it's what's his face? Wolf of Wall Street. Leonardo DiCaprio, Da Vinci, DiCaprio, right? That's swiping that him happy walking meme, or am I crazy? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure the artist like used it as a photo reference because that just seems too spot on for a coincidence. It's competent. It's and again, another interesting enough premise. And this one I will give one more issue. I'll give it 2 to see if it picks up. Not much happens in this one. It's very sparse in the storytelling. It's a post-World War II, a black man in America coming home after fighting for his country, experiencing racism, and somehow has powers. That's a little spoilery, but I mean, that's not... I don't know, actually, sorry. Whoops, that's the whole issue. Yeah, like, maybe a little more happens, but I didn't, sorry about that. I wrecked it. I'm not going to edit this out, because that's my problem with this book, is it needs to have a little more in it. It's just kind of, it's cool looking. The art's great. The coloring is really good. Just not much story. Just really, really light on story. Speaking of light on story, but yeah. This is probably my favorite cover of the week. I'm just gonna say that right now. Mom number 1 by Emilia Clarke and Marguerite Bennett and Lila. Whatever, doesn't matter. Mother of Madness. I guess that's what MOM stands for, or Milk of Magnesia, or whatever. This Emilia Clarke, Mother of Dragons, what's her face actress, the sad face from Game of Thrones that managed to go psycho, not convincingly. This whole book it seems to be breaking the fourth wall and like seems to be written by someone that has never written a comic before. Now I've never written a comic before myself, so like I know I'm criticizing where I do not necessarily know, but I've read a lot of comics and I think I know the structure of kind of what goes into them a fair amount, or I know what I like in the structure anyways, and that's what this is. These reviews are my opinions, folks. Don't take them as gospel. You can please disagree with me. Please fight me in the comments. Please say, Taylor, you're a jackass. Mom was brilliant. But it wasn't. It has an interesting idea, and there's an interesting superpower that the Mother of Madness possesses, but it's just such a muddy, long, drawn out exposition dump of an issue. Like the beauty of the comic medium is that you can blend storytelling and speaky, talky, wordy bits with illustration, and that marriage is what makes a fantastic comic, right? And this has a lot of the words and really solid drawing, but really boring. It's just bored the crap out of me. I know it's not probably a hot spec book of the week for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people probably really will like it and stuff. And it's a square mount. It's thick. It's glossy. It's a lot of pages, a whole lot of pages. But I really think this one would have benefited from an editor and like somebody saying, listen, you have the idea of a character, but not the story right now. This story, you can tell this character, you can develop, you could tell this backstory in 5 pages. It doesn't need 58, and you could, or however, whatever the page count is. I didn't look, and you can explain the powers visually, which sort of happens in here. But like, yeah, somebody need to step in and say, yeah. Breaking the fourth wall, fine. It's a gimmick, but like, you can use it. Don't just have the whole damn thing be talking. Just do something else. All right. Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal. This is Garth Ennis being Garth Ennis. It's the best issue of the bunch, I think, so far. And it sort of explains what's going on. It's got some Garth Ennisisms. It's wacky. It's characters that are kind of grotesque and awful, and like weird, goofy villains and weird, goofy heroes. Heroes being a light term, bad people that like fighting slightly less. Standing up to slightly more bad people. And that's a Garth Ennis thing. Like, his heroes aren't heroes. His villains are just wacky. And that's this. Art reminds me of, what's his face that drew, is it Steve Dillon? I can't remember. I'm sorry, I'm butchering. I think it is Steve Dillon. That drew Preacher, most of Preacher, or maybe all of Preacher. Passed away. But the male faces, especially in here, at times really reminded me of like a light, not as good version of that. If you like Garth Ennis, you'll like this. It's another time travel wonky caper. Well, it seems to be that's the new thing. Like, you have post-apocalyptic, and now you've got time travel. Everything goes in waves, and all right. Yeah, let's do it this order. Proctor Valley number 5, or Proctor Valley Road number 5. Another book that started really strong. Grant Morrison, Alex Child. They had a great first issue, and it's just kind of like ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. And this is the worst of the bunch, and it's the last one. The ending. Oh my god, the ending annoyed me. It really did. It's like, oh, that's how you're gonna wrap this all up, really, in a couple panel thing of like, yay, okay. It's a My Little Ponies ending. Not really. My Little Ponies actually has more entertaining endings, but that's. You'll see if you read this. I like the characters quite a bit. I think Grant and Alex, great job with the characters. I like the setting, the 70s, California. I think California. And I like the weirdness of it all, but it's just this one. It just fizzled so badly for me, and I'm disappointed. All right, this one I didn't even know where I got. I don't remember putting it on my pull list, but apparently I did, and so I didn't want to like return it back to the comic shop because I'd already handed them back a couple things today that I didn't like. I was like, no, I'm done with this one, and whatever. Tales from Harrow County number 1. I've not read Harrow County, anything in Harrow County. I thought I'd be lost. The art by Schnall. I'm not gonna open it up because it's taped. The art is watercolor, or more likely probably digitally watercolor. Pretty cool art. Pretty well colored, simple line illustration, if that makes sense. Fairly effective with that. The characters are easily distinguishable. The storytelling solid artistically. And Cullen Bunn is, a veteran. He knows how to tell a tale. But there's just not much tale here. Really not. It's just not it's not enough for me to keep going on it. It's a light story. I don't know. Maybe if I was invested in Harrow County, it'd be different. Maybe I'd give a shit about who these characters were and like the backstory. Maybe it ties into other stuff. But like as a standalone thing, jumping in from the first time, nope. Okay, yeah. Cypher number 1. Another Image Comics. I think this is another first-time comic writer, but I think this person also has teamed up with another writer that is a little more experienced, sort of like the Amelia Clark book. And I think this person has been in comic criticism for a while. So this might be like me attempting to write a comic. It still seems kind of clunky. And this character, siphons off the emotions of people, like the negative emotions, and it turns them into powers. It's sort of unclear how that happens. And there's it's fairly predictable, like the ending of this issue. I might go for another one. Maybe it's well drawn, and I don't hate the main character. I kind of like the main character, and I kind of like the idea. Although when I was reading it, it really reminded me of like the siphoning off of another person's power, like negative feelings, and using them as your superpower. Reminds me a lot of the Grief Knight in the comic Die, if you're reading that. Although it's different, but that's really what it reminded me of. And yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, really well drawn. Yeah, this is a maybe for me. Maybe I'll get another one. All right, yeah, Radiant Black, another book that's been kind of up and down for me. That started slow, like issue 1 slow. Issue 2 was good. Issue 3 was decent. Issue 4 was really good. Issue 5, and I get that not every issue is gonna be fantastic of every book. I've read Marvel all my life, but and this is not bad. It's just this is the story of the Red Ranger. Not really, but it's starting to feel like a weird team book and weird power. And maybe it's going to turn into that, but it feels like a Power Ranger book. I don't know why, but I'm too old for Power Rangers. I never read them growing up. But like this tells the story of a character that's been introduced way back in, I think, in issue 1, and it tells the other side of this sort of story. So it's interesting enough, and it's still fairly solid. We're at like fine plus. Near mint minus, you're not quite near mint minus, but we're at fine plus. So I'll keep Dark Radiant up probably for a little bit longer. Okay, now we're in the pretty good section. These are the ones I actually kind of really enjoyed this week. Chew, number 6. It's John Layman. I don't know how to explain John Layman. It's over the top wacky humor with a fairly decent story attached to it and a decent, interesting romp that takes tons of twists and turns and just introduce levels and layers of wackiness with every new issue. Same writer as Chew, spelled Chew, and like a lot of the superpowers in this universe are food based and eating based and that kind of stuff. And there's like different weird variations of it. And if you're not caught up, it's not a great jumping in point. But you're 6 issues in. I would recommend starting with the first series and going with that. And this is because like building up and like to fully appreciate the John Layman universe does require a bit of backstory. It does require a bit of like diving on in and stuff. And like you can probably dive on into like CHU number 1, Chew number 1, but I catch up okay. But you're not going to catch the full flavor of this universe, which is not necessarily great for a review. And it's not necessarily great for an audience that's not familiar with it, but I still like this. It's wacky art, not the same artists, unfortunately, as Chew, the other series. That artist I prefer a bit more, but Dan Boltwood does a decent job. And John Layman still being the John Layman writer that he is. The wacky, weird, food-based capers and plots and shenanigans and twisty, turny bits. This is a hard one to explain if you're not familiar, and I don't want to spoil a whole lot because I think you could have a lot of fun if you manage to catch up and find the old stuff. Starr number 3 from Mad Cave Comics or Mad Cave Studios. Mad Cave, whatever. Comic Studio, maybe. Doesn't matter. This is an underrated gem, I think, or underread gem, underordered possibly. Yeah, it's sci-fi. It's sci-fi, rompy, questy fantasy. Like there's weird artifacts. There's people on the run. There's other people chasing people on the run. This is kind of what the Star Wars books really should be. Honestly, it's a caper, a fun caper book with sort of likable scoundrel characters that like are actually kind of scoundrelly and great art. And yeah, like honestly, Corralo should be writing a Star Wars book, but I'm glad that they're writing Starr because it's a fun book. And you're only 3 issues in. I'd recommend picking this one up if you can. I mean, you should be able to find it. It's not. I know every damned indie book is getting spec'd on, and the prices are going crazy. And like, 2 days after it comes out, it's a $20 book. But I don't think Starr's that yet. I don't think. And it might not end up being the perfect. I don't know if this would actually adapt well to anything. But if you want a science fiction fantasy blend of comics that has like strong female characters, a fun kind of like not crazy convoluted plot, but just kind of fun and fairly easy to follow and well crafted, I'd go hunt down Starr. Number 3 is a solid issue to it. This is a chase scene. It's a one long chase scene. Thankfully, there's no conveyor belts, so it's really not an Indiana Jones movie. All right. Black Hammer Reborn number 2. I still have not read the original Black Hammer series, but I thought about it, and I still want to talk about this because Jeff Lemire is solid as a writer, and like you could dive on in. I'm pretty confident to Black Hammer Reborn issue number 1 and be caught up at this issue and know what is going on. Caitlin Yarsky's art is great, solid. Uh, she's a fantastic storyteller art visually, and like you're never really confused from panel to panel as to what's going on. You don't get a whole lot of dynamic craziness with the artwork and the panels, but I mean it's solid. And like when in comic arts, I'll take solid any day over the top and hard to follow. Story wise, here's what I want to talk about. Like I don't think you need to necessarily read the first Black Hammer series. You know, like it's sort of like you can probably pick up a Superman book and still get it. And if the story is told well enough for new readers, otherwise you're trying to you're going to have that daunting task of trying to find 900 back issues of material to catch up on everything Superman. No one's going to do that. And I will read Black Hammer because it's not that daunting. I can probably get it in 2 library edition volumes, omnibuses, I think, I'm going to buy, whatever. And I will because I really want to. But I don't think you need to. I think like Lemire does a good enough job of sort of quickly explaining the universe, explaining this character, the main character of Black Hammer, and explaining what is going on in issue number 1 and then issue number 2 that you could easily follow along and have a really good time doing it. So I'd recommend Black Hammer Reborn. All right, speaking of book I never read the first one of, and I'm still really enjoying it. Skybound X, issue number 3. This is continuing the Walking Dead or Rick Grimes 2000, which is like if the characters of The Walking Dead ended up being in a space alien romp that really doesn't have much to do with zombies anymore. If this were the main Walking Dead story, I would have probably gotten it from day 1 and like never put it down. It's great. It's like Kirkman's over the top wackiness is fun as hell. It's just delightful like romp. And I probably said romp like 4 times. That's my word of the video, folks. Romp. Today's word is brought. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's great. I never really read The Walking Dead. It's just kind of like zombies. The idea when the book first came out, I'm like, I don't give a shit about zombies. I just don't care. And I probably have made a mistake. I've heard great things, and I watched some of the show. The show also is like a real slow burn, especially the first season, and ramped up, and then I stopped caring. I know what's his face hit what's his face with what's his face and killed what's his face, and then what's his face died, and then what's his face left the show, and then is it over yet? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Zombies are still around, but Skybound X, I think it's just 3 of 5. It's a weekly thing. It's celebrating 10 years of Skybound. It's got a couple stories in it. The Rick Grimes one is the highlight of this one. It's probably on the whole. Well, there's another one I really like too, but I really enjoyed the Rick Grimes 2000 and where that one's going. Murder Falcon. I never read the Daniel Warren Johnson original. It's a fun story. It's really light. There's not much to this story. It's an artistic flex on this one, like with like what probably really could be 3 to 4 panels of story, but it's stretched out a little bit longer. Not much. Science Dog, not really familiar with that one either, but it wasn't a bad little story. You sort of pick up on the middle and you kind of get what's going on. Not that great. Assassination Nation, the last story in here. If you've read the 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton, Assassination Nation is the same writer, and you can tell. It's sort of because it explains in a paragraph at the beginning of what's going on. And it's like a hitman hires 20 hitmen to protect him. And that hitman dies, and most of the 20 are dead. And this is the story of those who remain. And it's just a kind of wacky, the same wacky sensibility that's in Trigger Keaton. And it's a fun beginning to things. And I hope Assassination Nation goes further because I want to see the continued tales of the not number 1 and 2 or whatever hitmen and whoever's left and what's going on and why everyone's out to kill them. I'm intrigued, sir. Please give me more about Assassination Nation. All right, we got a couple left. Nightwing, number whatever this is, 82. This is not a filler, but it's sort of it's a flashback. We're back in time now to tell the untold tale and retconning. It's a retcon issue. That's what it is. It's a decent retcon though. I understand if you're writing comics, you don't have to hold everything that has come before as biblical truth because you want to sneak new things in and have new wrinkles and make it soap opera-y. Be like, oh, I'm not your sister, I'm your father, or whatever the hell, just to make it a fun story, and that's what Tom Taylor's doing in this one. You learn who Melinda Zuko is and what's going on with her past, or maybe, probably, possibly. Could all be a lie, maybe, possibly. I don't know. Doesn't matter. The framing art is the better of the two. The throwback art's not bad, though. There's a filler artist in there. This Nightwing run is a lot of fun. And if you're not picking it up, you're doing an injustice to yourself. Especially if you enjoy, like, well-told superhero stuff. Like street level superhero, well told but not super angsty. Like, you know, if you want angsty, you can have Batman, or you can have any of the angsty characters, or you can have a good blend of sort of angsty but not really. And this one, I really liked. Moon Knight #1. Look, it's a Marvel book that's not hot and shit, or right part of it. No, I'll stop swearing. Not hot garbage. This is the best Marvel book of the week by a lot. I mean, I know there's only 2 on this list. I mean, Marvel has, like, was there 3? No, there's 3. I forgot about it. There's the Annual. There's Thor Annual. There's the Gamma Flight. And then this. Yeah, this is the best of the bunch by a lot. Jed McKay has a handle on Moon Knight and has managed to, in this one issue, kind of wrap up and tie in, and not wrap up, but, like, tie together all the Moon Knights that have gone before. Because, like, you know, you get a character with multiple personality disorder or whatever. The terminology has changed. It's not called that anymore. But several distinct personalities, and a lot of writers that have tried to play with that and tried to do it in different ways and stuff, and then different avenues that has gone down. And then there's the Avengers run where he was like an agent of God and of the god Khonshu and had all these superpowers, and that all manages to, like, get told, and mostly, I think, I mean, if you're not following along, I think you can still probably get everything that's gone before here, or the idea of everything that's gone before, and still be on board. I think this is a good Moon Knight issue, and it makes me very excited for the series that's coming out, because if they manage to, like, pull off any of this kind of goodness that's in here, I think it'll be a great story. Introduces a new character that I think will be fun. The art is dynamic. It is somewhat sparse. It is solid. Cappuccio is great. The coloring's great. This is my favorite Marvel book of the week, and I highly recommend picking it up. I'm also surprised. I really expected it to be awful. Marvel new books lately have been just pretty much garbage, and like, I'm sorry, just like they have, but this is pretty fantastic in my humble opinion. My favorite book of the week, probably no surprise if you've been watching my channel at all. The Many Deaths of Lila Starr #4. There's only one issue to go with this, I think, and I'm going to be sad to see it go. It's Ram V and Felipe Andrade, and this is the story of Death, who loses her day job because a human gets born who's going to eventually take away Death, or like make it so humans don't die. And so Layla Starr starts off trying to go kill the kid, and then now it's like conversations, and like there's an evolution of the character of Death and an evolution of the other person, the child on the other end of things. And it's like, it really interests, like, it's an interesting parable about life and the meaning of life and what's important to life, and loss and death, and like whether or not death has a role in life, and whether or not, you know, death is necessary, or if pain is necessary, or if removing pain, you know, it's I'd say pick it up. You could probably wait till the trade. There's one left on this, and I'm sure they're going to put it in a trade paperback. And I don't see it going on forever. I think this is the way this has been structured thus far, and the way this story has been told thus far. I can't see Ram V expanding it. It's not that kind of story. I think he has an ending planned. I'm really looking forward to seeing what it is, and I wish it's probably a little longer, because I am loving the ride. If you like Neil Gaiman's Death, how about that? If you like Sandman and like Neil Gaiman's Death, this is an entirely different thing. But if you like the sort of meditations on life that were encapsulated in that you know, Vertigo series that Neil Gaiman did, I think you'll really probably enjoy The Many Deaths of Lila Starr. And there you have it. Those are my books that I read this week. I need to cut back, people. I'm spending way too damn much money on stuff. I'm not selling enough stuff on eBay, and I sell some more art. I gotta sell some more T-shirts. I don't know. Buy some shirts. Do whatever. You don't have to. It's all good. I'm just ranting at the end of the shit. So, all right. That's about all I got. I'm sorry I smacked the mic over here. Live a good life. Don't be a dick.